Hi everyone, welcome to the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for tuning in for the 4 o'clock show, News and Politics. We've got some news for you, a new business here in Providence. Adania Abreu with Adora's Dream. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I appreciate it. On the eve of your launch of Adora's Dream here in Providence tomorrow, a new makeup artistry business, and you've been in the business for a while.
Yes, I have. I started being a makeup artist before the whole world wanted to be a makeup artist. How's that? That's a long time. I always tell people that it's been a while.
So tell us the Adania story of growing up and deciding, you know, I really want to get into makeup, and then we'll delve into the business.
Well, I've always been an artist. I've been an artist since I was a little girl. I remember like being very particular about what I wore before I left the house, and that it matched and that it coordinated. So it actually goes really well with makeup. I was known for being kind of annoying for that. So it all started when I was 3, actually.
Oh my goodness, going back to 3 years old, of course, probably playing with some family's makeup.
I did. There was a photo that my mom, there was a photo they took of me when I was little, and they told me the story was I wouldn't pose for the picture till they put a little bit of red lipstick, and I was only 3.
And you were 3.
Yes.
So you took this playing, you know, lots of little girls love to play with makeup, but you made it into a career.
I did.
So tell us a little bit about your Hope High School grad.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I am a local. I'm really Providence local.
Providence local. So tell us about your path from Hope High School to now opening a business over in the West End.
Well, Hope High School is actually arts magnet. That's when I discovered that I really needed to fight the fact that I was going to be an artist for the rest of my life. So I embraced it, started in Hope High School. That's a great point that you brought up because that's perfect.
Excellent. So you started at Hope, and then tell us about getting into the makeup business because you have a lot of experience.
Yes. Well, I went into a Sephora. I applied. I got hired, and that was a long time ago, about 10 years ago. And it was an amazing experience. They gave me so much training. I was so blessed. I was so honored. I worked with so many women. I connected with the women, which is my favorite part of what I do. Connecting and bringing out the beauty. Like you said, I make them more beautiful than they already are. So it's been a journey. I've learned a lot. I call it my PhD in beauty.
A PhD in beauty, so you cut your chops. Most folks know of the chain Sephora, but you decided, you said, there's really a need here in Providence for makeup artistry, for sweet 16s, for quinceaneras, for birthday parties, for weddings. So you decided that you're going to do your own makeup bar and your own makeup services.
Yes.
So talk with us about how the business model really came together.
Wow, that was like it. So for like a year, I did a business class, and I was like, I need to come up with something different that no one's done. But that really brings what I like about beauty, which is the connection between women, the connection between me and the women, and just the products, just playing with the products, just having fun without the pressure of like looking perfect. So I decided that I could do a bar in the event, and, you know, of course, photos and selfies, and that is so big right now.
Selfies are huge.
And oh, the photo booth is everything right now.
Yes,
like
indeed.
everybody has to make. I realized there was a line to the photo booth everywhere I went. So I was like, wouldn't it be cool? Because everybody's in the purse looking for the lipstick, and oh my God, do I look all right? Wouldn't it be cool to have like a bar right before where you can go with your girlfriend, touch up your lipstick, put a little highlighter, a little bronzer, and go straight to the photo booth and just bring out the energy, the self-confidence to the party? Wouldn't that make the party like that much better?
Oh, it would take it up a notch, absolutely. And speaking of parties, there's going to be a big party tomorrow night.
Yes, so I'm celebrating my Adora's Dream, my dream come true. I'm celebrating, and I decided to make a big celebration. I thought so many people have helped me, so many people have encouraged me, so many people have supported me. What would be the best thing to launch the first beauty bar presentation? And I was like, why don't I make a big party, invite all those people, and just celebrate, just really just have fun with it, and just embrace it, and hopefully I can inspire other women to do the same thing and understand the concept and kind of like experience the one on hand, because sometimes people have a hard time visioning because I came up with it. It's like a new thing. So they're like, they try to Google, I'm like, you're not gonna find it in Google. So I can't wait.
It's brand new.
Yes.
Brandy new.
I came up with this in my head. It's not out there. Wait till you see it. I know it's hard, but you have to experience it so much.
You have to see it too. to experience it.
Exactly.
And talk with us about the beauty bar. So this is something that travels around to different events, different weddings. So is there a bricks and mortar component to it, or is this all just travel and accessible?
It's all travel and accessible. It's very easy. I come to you, I set up, I bring everything. What I do is I decorate according to the decor. So if I know ahead of time the decor of the party, the bar is going to actually look like that. It's going to go with the flow of the party. So that's number one. Number two, it could be set up in different ways depending on the event.
You'll obviously work with the bride or
it's all about making their dream come true. Yeah. Like what works for their event. Yeah. So that part is going to be so much fun for me because I actually did interior consulting way before that in my years because I've done a lot of the arts medias.
So you've got a sense of space.
So yeah, the sense of space and party planning is going to be a very fun party because that's what I love to do too. So that it kind of goes to flow and bringing the energy of the party with the makeup. So so there's also a different way where you can do a private party with your girlfriends and sort of set it up as like a paint and wine.
Yeah.
But instead of it be like makeup, you'll have your own little station.
You are the canvas.
Yes, and then I'll be up there and you get to do the makeup as I do it on myself. Wouldn't that be so much fun with your girlfriends?
Like paint and wine, but you're makeup and wine.
Yes, and then you have a lighted mirror, you have a kit you can work with, and you just have fun with it because it's you and your girlfriend, so there's no judge. There's no judgment.
No, just having fun and experimenting too, because a lot of times women, you know what you like, you know your lipstick, but might, try new looks, branch out a little bit, try a new eyeshadow. It really gives women the opportunity to, have some fun.
Yeah, and it's sort of like not the pressure of going into a store or a department store. It gives you a different way of approaching makeup that is not as nerve-wracking. Sometimes it's overwhelming when you go into a department store because they're like really trying to sell you something. So it's a lot of pressure because I know I was there for a very long time.
That you were. And so finally, tell us about the products that you use.
Well, I am sort of loving high-end because obviously I kind of got really spoiled. But in the future, I would like to bring in more local made products.
Okay.
That is my goal, to bring in more local made products. Right now I have a lot of higher end products. That was kind of my network. So that's it's actually the best of the best. So it is the best products. I would love to incorporate more locally made. So I definitely will be reaching out to a lot of that now that I'm launching it, because I would love to incorporate local people. I love to be part of the community. I love to empower the women and inspire the women that might need just as much help as people help me. So it's like a win-win situation.
And you talk about using those high-end products. I think for a lot of women, again, they have their favorites, but it's almost like, test driving that really nice car. You're like, it's a little aspirational, it's that brand. And you get the chance to try it, and if you're like, wow, I really like it, then maybe, but it gives you that test drive to say, wow, this blush really does look great, and this lipstick does too.
Yeah.
And you really haven't had the opportunity to try like the creme de la creme.
Yeah, you do. In the future, I'm open to trying other stuff. I do want to kind of get encompass a little more wide spectrum as I move forward for maybe that client that doesn't want to spend a lot of time and money on their makeup. I think that's also important to remember that there's some people that it's okay to do that. And
everyone's got a budget.
Yeah, everybody has a budget, and it's about making your dream come true.
It's all about that. Dream. So why Adora?
I know it's kind of an interesting story. First of all, my name is really hard to remember. It's hard to spell and it's hard to say. I love it when people learn my name. I'm so grateful, and you did a wonderful job, by the way. So I was like, wow, you're good. So Adora was a name that when I saw it, it was like the aha moment of adoration. Adora is a lot of adoration, adoring yourself, adoring each other, and adoring other women. And Adora also sounds just like so feminine, so empowering at the same time. And it sounds good in so many accents and languages. And it was just like, that's kind of, I guess, I feel like that's my alter ego. I guess that's what people call it.
Okay.
I have another name for it, but I'll do alter ego because that's what people understand. But that's why I felt like I was hurt inside, because I was always trying to help people really adore themselves, and I was adoring them as I was doing it too. So that's where Adora's Dream came in. Adora's
Dream. Well, we'll provide all the links to the new business here opening in Rhode Island, but letting folks know where they can find Adania with the new business, and of course there's the new party tomorrow night. Wish you all the best with the launch, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to talk with you soon.
Yes, okay. And I want to thank Ann Clanton, my publicist, for doing so much for this event and really like giving me the support and the self-confidence to do many things that I didn't do before.
Well, again, thanks to everyone, because as we know, it takes a village to get a business off the ground, and you're going to celebrate it tomorrow night. So we wish you all the best.
I'm so excited.
Adania Abreu, we appreciate you taking the time to come in here.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, viewers, for watching. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for tuning in on this hot Wednesday afternoon for news and politics. Would like to thank Adania Abreu with Adora's Dream officially kicking off tomorrow here in Providence, a new woman-owned makeup artistry business, so thank her for coming in. Would like to welcome my next guest. She's been here before, Rhode Island GOP candidate for governor, Patricia Morgan. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Kate.
You had a big announcement today.
Yes. So it has to do with an inspector general, which, for lack of a better word, is a watchdog for taxpayers. This is an office. An inspector general is the person who goes looking for waste, fraud, and abuse, for corruption in state government, in our spending. I think it's an integral part of my plan, because we have to make government smaller. We have to return more money to the taxpayers so you can spend it on your priorities. And the big announcement was that I've asked Arlene Violet to be our first inspector general. Right now, she writes a column. She wants to stay out of the political fray, but we've had some serious discussions, and I'm hoping that in January, when I'm sworn in, she will be our first inspector general.
So she sounds open to
yes.
the ask there. So let's talk a little bit. I mean, we're right in the midst of, we've just saw the rollout of the 195 Gano Street project, and was trying to get information from the Department of Transportation about the impact study.
So is that like pulling teeth? No kidding.
Took a little bit to get it. Lots of questions asked. Of course, there were some massive backups there, but more involved with this as well. The story in GoLocal today unveiled how much the vendor has given in campaign contributions. Between the convention center, between construction projects, what would you envision? I mean, the Office of Inspector General, as you said, would go out. So would it be a Kachiri-esque big audit? Would there be particular areas that you'd focus on right away?
That was really good reporting on your part. I've got to tell you, I think we in government have been relying on GoLocal Prov and other news media to dig out some of this fraudulent spending or abusive spending. When you have an inspector general, we don't have to rely on you because the inspector general goes out looking for it. And that's what's important. Yeah, DOT really needs a thorough going over. I believe there is just untold amounts of waste and abusive spending there and fraud. But as I look around, there's so many targets in state government. We are just wasting money, and it's your money, it's our money. And we really need to make government transparent and accountable. You said, you know, you were trying to get answers from the Department of Transportation about this project. They put the barriers in, they ripped open the pavement because it was a safety hazard. And then 3 days later, when the governor realized, ooh, this might hurt her ability to get elected, they said, nope, the safety hazard's not as bad. They moved everything back, backed up traffic to Swansea, put new asphalt down where they just dug it up. What's the cost of that? Really, what's the cost of that to us? I'm sure it went out as an emergency contract, but how much did we waste on that? And that's our money that's being wasted. So an inspector general goes looking. You were with us, I know, when we did the Convention Center Authority. An incredible amount of, I think, abusive spending going on there. We're giving them between $25 million and $30 million a year. That's a lot of money. They should be making their own money. They should be able to pay all of their operations, and they can't. So, you know, it's about having him, her, look at that. You know, do the investigation. For me, it was hard. We had to put in APRA requests. Then you have to wait 45 days to get an answer. Then you realize, uh-oh, you should have asked for something more. You have to wait another 45 days. This is the game they play. So this is about transparency, accountability to taxpayers, but it's for an inspector general, it's about them being proactive. Like you are at GoLocal Prov, you find all this stuff out and know how you do it. But it is about that office, that general, going out and being proactive at looking at different parts of state government, whether it's 38 Studios, or UHIP, or DCYF, or DOT, or the Convention Center Authority, or you name the targets that are out there.
Where the Google money was spent?
Yeah, where the Google money was spent. You know, I ended up having to pay $3,750. It was painful to do that, to get that information. But I just wasn't going to let them delay any longer. Kids are going back to school, and we need to know where that money is.
So that was a big announcement today, but speaking of announcements, the administration of Governor Gina Raimondo, along with the Education Department, said that they were announcing today no guns in K through 12 schools except for school resource officers. Now, there's been a little back and forth. You had a response, they had a response to your response, but what was your initial take when you had heard this from the governor's office?
This is the governor doing what she's always done, try to govern by headlines. When I look at all the corporate welfare she's handed out, it was done to get the headlines, but not because it was good policy. And this is just another one of those, the same thing. An administrative order is pretty much worthless. There's no way to punish somebody. There's no teeth in it. So it is just a headline. And that's how she's governed. And that's why she has failed so miserably. To me, I'd like to see the data that says a law-abiding gun owner who goes to all the trouble of getting a concealed carry permit is the problem, and that we really should be afraid of them. But more than that, I would really like to see us all sit down and come up with real solutions to keep our kids safe. I know children going to school this week are afraid, right? They're apprehensive. I mean, they're excited, obviously. They're excited. They're back with all their friends. It's hot, but they're having a good time seeing their friends. That being said, when a door opens unexpectedly or they hear something out in the hallways, you know, a book falls, they get apprehensive. Is that somebody coming in at them? the reason I've been battling with the Attorney General over these Google funds is I think there are really practical solutions there. We could give $75,000 to every school to buy bulletproof glass, to more secure locks, sealed vestibules, maybe technology, whatever they think suits their school the best, but to make sure that the perimeter of the school doesn't allow a shooter inside. That's what we should have been doing over the summer. Instead, the governor calls a press release, signs a piece of paper and says, I fixed it. No, that's not fixing it.
So you said you made a statement that it was an affront to the Constitution. The governor fired back and said, you're beholden to the NRA. What do you have to say to that when politicians say that about having that A rating from the NRA?
You know, I've taken no money from the NRA, but I absolutely believe in our Constitution. I know you do. The First Amendment is precious to the United States, but so are all the others. And that includes the Second, which is about gun ownership, the Fourth, which is about due process rights, the 14th, which has due process in it as well. So it's really important that we understand that we have constitutional rights, and they are, they're not just an administrative order. They really have weight to them because they've helped make the United States an exceptional country. And I think we need to be very careful at how we step on them.
So let's take a look here. It's Wednesday. I believe you're going to be having a conversation with a few other GOP candidates on Friday in a forum, finally. You've been pressing for debates this entire primary.
Most of the state will not be able to hear it, and it is on the Friday. One of my opponents, Alan Fung, chose noon on the Friday before the Labor Day weekend. That was his choice to make sure everybody would hear it.
Well, do you anticipate if it taking place at that point? I don't want to sort of tip your hand, so to speak. What do you think are going to be the big issues talked about at this debate?
Well, there are a lot of issues. I'm hoping actually that we will talk about policy because, as you know, I really focus on policy. I believe that Republican principles are the things that will make our state strong again. And I've been a Republican my whole life. I really believe in free markets. I believe in limited government. I believe in personal responsibility, as well as the Constitution. So I'm hoping that we will talk about our economic development plans, how we're going to improve our schools, government accountability, which is the Inspector General. I've noticed that Alan Fung has borrowed some of my ideas lately, but they're good ideas, and I think what is it? He's borrowing them because they are good. I've studied state government for a long time now. I know what's broken. A lot of it is broken, and I have real solutions to help Rhode Island become a state of prosperity again. So I'm asking for everybody's vote right now, and on September 12th. It's important, and I am very, very close to winning this. I think every vote will count on primary day, so I hope my supporters go out.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come into the studio. I know you had the press conference this morning. I'm sure you've been on the trail since then, so thanks for coming up to Providence to talk about, again, your call for establishing a Department of Inspector General, if elected, and appointing.
And with Arlene Violet. I mean, really, she is, if anybody can remember when she was Attorney General, she took on organized crime. She had such a backbone, and she had such persistence and purpose in that. She was a great Attorney General. She'll be a great Inspector General.
Well, again, appreciate you taking the time to come in to talk with us a little bit more about this. I know you're busy, so I'll let you go to the task at hand. And don't go anywhere. We'll be back here with our next guest in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for tuning in for the 4 o'clock News and Politics show. 3 o'clock was Laura Afonso with barbecue and big sandwiches. We kicked off the 4 show with Adania Abreu opening a new makeup business, and then Patricia Morgan. Bob, she had an announcement today that if elected, she would establish an office of Inspector General to root out waste and abuse. And
many governments have inspectors.
And appoint Arlene Violet.
Yeah. Really? Oh, my pal, Attila the Nun. Right, right. Whom I like. Yeah. She'd actually be very good at it, I think. She'd certainly be entertaining.
Does Rhode Island need an Inspector General?
Well, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, it's supposedly, this mixed government system. The legislature is supposed to have committees that are supposed to chase that stuff. I believe most states have an inspector general or something like it, kind of like something like the General Accounting Office, or what do they call it? The Government Accountability Office. We used to call it just the General Accounting Office. It wouldn't hurt. It's not a bad idea, Would someone like a sip of this very cold coffee, by the way?
It's so hot downtown today.
It's just awful. It reminds me of the 10 years I spent in Kinshasa in charge of public works.
Well, hopefully it'll cool off this weekend. Want to stay on the vein of politics. Obviously, I have to talk about the passing of John McCain. Yeah,
I think John McCain, I think he's been getting a little bit more credit than he deserves. He was feisty, he was entertaining, he was certainly physically brave. He was not always politically brave. I mean, he put at the urging of some of the more extreme right-wingers in the Republican Party, he put Sarah Palin on the ticket, which was grossly irresponsible. Given McCain's age then, 72, I looked up the actuarial, projection of how long. There's about a 30% chance he'd die in office then, in a first term, and then that ignoramus would be president, and that wouldn't have been very good. So he was very irresponsible about that, which he said later. He basically admitted later it was a bad idea. He couldn't have won that year anyway because we're going into the crash. So he was probably doomed.
And you
anyway.
Remember the Keating Five, of course.
I sure do, yeah. And campaign finance reform, which he led. I think he was pretty brave on that, fighting against people in his own party. He voted against getting rid of the Affordable Care Act, but that's more because he opposed the process which they're railroading it through. And I think that was a vote of principle, but he did, he also voted for these gigantic tax cuts, which I think will, as you and I have said so many times on air, which I think will keep everybody, well medicated for maybe another year or so, and then the crash. So, which I hope I'm wrong, but I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I wish the market would go up to 150,000. Be great.
Well, we know that can't just keep
Won't happen.
Can't just keep
Won't
going
happen.
up and up.
Nope.
So. We've had discussions here about this week as passing over the weekend. We're here on Wednesday.
Yeah.
A lot of continuous coverage. There's some speculation that the press is sort of latching onto this because of his relationship with Trump and sort of maybe tweaking the president,
his manner. I mean, he was a far more honest man than Trump, and he wasn't lying all the time. He told a few whoppers, but I think generally he's an honest man. He was honest conservative. I think he was a decent man. He was certainly very brave in Vietnam, and I think a lot of people liked him. I know people in the Washington press corps, including my niece, who works for the, I guess you call it the Communist Huffington Post, who knew McCain very well, and everybody found him wonderfully charming. He do that stuff, behind people. So very charming, and I think he's getting this sort of upwelling of emotional support because he's sort of the opposite of Trump, who's cold, never smiles, and lies nonstop. So he looked pretty good. He was fun to be with, too. Everybody loved him.
I got caught goofing around in D.C. by him one time.
I bet you did.
That's a story for another time.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. He was just a lot of fun. He's just
a
neat guy, and very likable. And I think people, to his dying day, really admired his courage in Vietnam, not coming back early. Not being released because his father was an admiral, and so and I think it's a real loss. It's certainly a loss to the Republican Party. The Republican Party, when Trump leaves, however he leaves, in a box or in chains or after 2 years, after 2 terms, they're going to have to somehow reconstitute themselves a thoughtful center-right party, which every country needs a good center-right party. They don't have it now. They've got this sort of corrupt plutocracy.
Well, I'll tell
we
you.
need to get that back. You know, call it Eisenhower Republicans, something like
I
that.
mean, as the pendulum has swung
Right.
to both sides,
That's right.
very, very
That's
far.
right. And I think the Democrats, have, in some places, are getting a little bonkers too. I mean, the deals are made in the middle. You know, John Chafee, you know, and then moderate Democrats. That's how you get stuff done. I'm afraid that what we're going to need to really get something profound done about income inequality and all that stuff is a crash. You know, we probably wouldn't have Social Security without the Depression, for example, let alone half the walls of Providence were built by the WPA.
Absolutely,
as
you see them on the plaques.
That's
Well,
right.
you know, as we know, a day in politics can be an eternity. A week certainly is, because let's just say this time last week it was all Michael Cohen and
That's
Paul
right. Remember we were
Manafort.
talking about that?
That's
I
all
mean,
that
the
was
memory
being-
is so short. He's up, he's down. It's just ridiculous. I know GoLocal. I look at it too. We all love listings. It's like you know, U.S. News. You know, who's hot, who's not.
Well, it's like
We
it's
all
like
love
Paul
that
who
stuff,
and
yeah.
Michael who, because it's sort of a quasi fait accompli since last week. But I was talking with Jennifer Lawless down at the University of Virginia.
Very interesting person. Yeah.
And she, you know, as most
Right.
have surmised, here we are. It's Labor Day. We've got the election. We've got some more primaries in the general in November. You know, predicts it's going to be incredibly quiet on the Mueller front, because he's kind of a little hamstrung, if you will.
Well, I've heard different stories of that. Jennifer, who is very bright, very, very astute. I think, on the other hand, he may just try to get it over with in September. By the way, I've got to say something. The Whitewater Monica Lewinsky investigation of the Clintons, that was, let me see, 8 years? Yeah, more than 8 years. More than 8 years. And that cost $70 million. This thing, far more complicated, because it involves national security, international cast of characters, immensely more complicated. It's cost about $7 million, and so far 15 months. So when people complain this thing is dragging on, that's just ridiculous. In the Clinton Whitewater thing, a lot of that was just a joke. And this is when the Republicans, during almost the entire period, controlled the House of Representatives. And then you've got Watergate, which took over 2 years, which I have vivid memories because I have to write
You
stuff.
report, yeah.
I did, yeah. No, I typed it. About it, calling
But
a
you
report.
think that there's a possibility that, as you said, Mueller might try to muscle some more through, even despite the cries of saying it's too close to election
Yeah,
time?
I think so. Maybe September. He's very circumspect, very careful. I doubt if he would do it in October. You know, the famous October surprise that we all... Probably
we
not,
all wait
but
for.
I could see him doing it in September. Yeah.
So you've got the cheat sheet here. What can we expect from
Well,
you
I
this
think
weekend?
I looked at the Mexican car deal, and there's less to it than meets the eye. It'll have very little effect. It may.
Is that what the new NAFTA is officially called?
Yeah, it's NAFTA. It's just tweaks of NAFTA.
NAFTA light.
Changing the name because of Trump's, his base hates NAFTA, so he's going to call it a different name, and they'll love it. You know, it's kind of like the thing when they used to interview
Folgers
people on the
crystals?
street. What do you think of Obamacare? It's terrible. It's just terrible. Remember that? What do you think of the Affordable Care Act? That's great. I mean, so you can depend upon the illiteracy of the public. But no, it's just, if you look at content requirements and wage, minimum wage requirements, it's really going to have very little effect. Now, I don't know what the Canadians are going to do. I think they'll probably be pressured into joining it. They probably won't have much choice. But if you're talking about impact, I would say the only fairly sure bet is it will raise prices a little bit on cars, right? And it will probably ultimately reduce employment by encouraging automation. Nobody ever talks about automation. Automation is much, much more important than outsourcing. You know that.
We've talked with Darrell West, formerly of Brookings, and he's written extensively on this. I mean,
the politics of trade.
The politics of trade and the politics of employment. I mean, the rapid modernization. I just saw on this week. I don't go to fast food often by lieu of my diet. But no, I can't. I have celiac. I can't eat it. I like it. I can't eat it.
When I just went to 24/7 intravenous feeding, I just avoided all.
No, they're doing all the kiosks now. It's come to
right?
so
okay,
you order your food and it just comes out. We've seen them trying the driverless cars. I mean, it's going to go up very, very quickly. And how equipped we are to handle it will be seen.
Yeah, we don't know. I think we're kind of the calm before the storm of artificial intelligence too, which is going to be doing all this stuff. I sense a lot of anxiety in the financial services trade.
Yes.
Because a lot of that stuff in the future is going to be done algorithms, right?
So you got more on that cheat sheet. Tell me what else is going on this
What else
weekend.
is going on? Oh yeah, let me see what else is going on. Yeah, there's an interesting, where did I put it here? It's here someplace. The interesting piece in City Lab, one of the places I look for ideas, about what are you going to do with these, these bike lanes, and some cities don't have it nearly enough of them. But now there's been a proliferation of scooters, the bird scooters that I love so much.
I know you ride it back and forth downtown
Oh,
every day.
absolutely. Motorized wheelchairs. I think they're going to have to rearrange a lot of streets to make them wider or cut into the car traffic lanes, because you're going to have a huge increase in bicycles, scooters, given the aging of the population, motorized wheelchairs. Obviously, you'll have the people the runners, and the regular bike riders. And we don't have enough space to take in all these people in the future, especially the scooters.
I saw a rogue bird scooter on the streets this week, and
no.
I've actually got some
Criminals.
video, because they yanked them because the city put forth regulations. They were going to work to
They're
put them back.
They're going to fiddle around with the regulations, right?
Well, ostensibly to fit the regulations. I saw a young man riding, and it said bird on it.
Yeah.
But he was kicking because clearly it wasn't an operation.
Oh, really? That's cheating. Yeah.
I'm like, how'd you get this?
How are you? See, I think this is just going to take off. More with the young people, the old people.
Yeah.
I think these scooters are going to be just thousands of them in a middle-sized city like Providence. Question is, how do you arrange lanes for that, and the regular bike riders and all that? You're going to have to reconfigure a lot of highways, I think.
Would you take a driverless car right now?
No. I don't trust them. I mean, I don't trust the humanoids that are driving the cars around me either. I mean, I don't trust anybody. I usually don't trust myself, especially after taking cold medicine or something. But I would definitely not get into a car with that lack of control. Would I be safer in a driverless car? Probably, but psychologically, it's impossible. Giving up that amount of control. And of course, we know every once in a while they don't work.
Yes.
And when they don't work, it's catastrophic.
We'll
right?
see when they, they're
just
coming,
absolutely-
but as of
they're-
now.
They're coming. They got to do something about
Okay,
these lanes.
what on the literary and environmental front?
Yeah, and then there's a thing, and I love these sort of waterfront things. There's a story about Rotterdam using the plastic bags and all the garbage that people stupidly throw into the sewers on the shore. They're recycling this, and they're creating kind of like beds, like mussel beds with these things.
Okay.
This is with recycled plastics, and then plants are growing out of them and all that, which is of course cleaning the water. It's a little like the thing I wrote about a couple of weeks ago, with this sort of high fiber stuff along the rivers, urban rivers, and it cleans the rivers. You plant this stuff. It pulls out, it gets nutrients from the water. It removes a lot of excess nutrients, phosphates and nitrogen, that kind of stuff, and it provides environment for life, water life, and life above.
Might have to take a tip from Rotterdam.
And can I get another one in? Yeah. Okay. Springfield is just opening up a huge. I'm surprised you weren't there to play the machines. MGM Casino.
I've seen the ads on Facebook. I've been inundated and clearly in their target demographic.
Here's my prediction. I feel pretty. And if I'm alive then, you can taunt me if I'm wrong, which I'm sure you will. I think you're going to find Springfield poorer in 10 years than it is now. Yeah, welcome to Atlantic City.
Oof.
Welcome to Atlantic City. I think this is a chimera. I don't think it's going to work in the not very long run. For one thing, internet gaming is going to take a lot of that business. It's not wealth creation. It sucks wealth out of a region and sends it some other place. That other place is the bank accounts of the investors.
So you won't be going to MGM?
Well, I may go.
Just to check it out, see the spectacle.
I may go, yeah. So I can smoke, and all these things. I wonder if they get a lot of smoking there. A lot of these casinos, they like smoking because it gets, kind of habit-forming people. People who tend to chain smoke and drink too much also tend to gamble a lot.
Don't quote me on it. I believe Massachusetts are smoke-free, and that's the selling.
Unlike here,
and that's the selling point of the casinos here.
Really, yeah.
Is the smoking
That we can
capacity.
chain smoke. That's great. I'm really happy.
But what about the marijuana?
Yeah. What about the medical? I'm feeling
no,
kind of
it's
nervous.
legal.
I got to get a
Massachusetts.
prescription. See, when I lose a lot of money at the slot machine or at the roulette table, it makes me anxious. So my physician has recommended I, have a couple of joints. Why not?
So if you can't smoke, I don't think you can maybe edibles. Anyhow.
The great circle route. Absolutely.
Well, if you're going to want to read more from Bob, you'll have to tune in this weekend on Sunday to catch his column. Did we cover the list?
No, we
There's
did not.
more.
Absolutely. I want to thank Citizens Bank for keeping its headquarters in downtown Providence, contrary to some of the news reports. It's the corporate campus out in Johnston. Fact is that generally senior executives don't want to be in some bland office park in Exurbia.
Well, I think there was
They don't want to be there.
I think people have made a snap judgment when the building that Citizens
Right.
in is up for auction.
That's
It
right.
was never any
Yeah.
indication that they were going to go,
No,
but I think the thought was, well, if it's no, it's just a changeover of ownership.
It's a little like New York City, where you get these corporate headquarters. There was a relatively small number of people there, usually the senior executives and their immediate support staff, and they want to live on Park Avenue or Fifth Avenue. Here, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the senior executives at Citizens lived up in the East Side.
And I
For
just,
example, College Hill.
just wanna go down the
and that's
hill.
kind of the equivalent for them of Fifth Avenue and Park Avenue. So I'm glad they're going to stay downtown with the amenities. I hope they spend lots of money, especially in Providence, there's many fine restaurants. And I was a little spooked that they'd all go out there, but when you're running the show, you don't have to go to boring places.
and on that note,
Yeah.
we will wrap up
Okay.
here, and you, of course, tune in on Sunday on Go Local Prov to read Bob Whitcomb's column. Bob, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate.
Don't go
Bye-bye.
anywhere. We'll be back to wrap up here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Go Local News editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for tuning in this Wednesday afternoon, a very hot one here in downtown Providence. Laura Afonso at 3 o'clock talked barbecue and big sandwiches. 4 o'clock news and politics caught up with RI-GOP gubernatorial candidate Patricia Morgan. Today announced she has always been a strong supporter of an Office of Inspector General. She said if elected, she would establish the department and appoint former Rhode Island Attorney General Arlene Violet to the position. We also caught up with a new business owner. Adania Abreu with Adora's Dream is having a big party to kick off her new business, which is a makeup beauty bar, which can travel around to different events, provide her expertise and services, again, launching officially tomorrow here in Providence. And of course, want to thank Bob Whitcomb, Go Local columnist, as he does most weeks, comes in to talk about current events, talking about the passing of Senator John McCain and more local politics here in Rhode Island. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the 3 o'clock hour here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center when Rachel Nunes and Chelsea Gay return here in studio. In the meantime, of course, be sure to tune into GoLocalProv.com online and our Facebook page throughout the evening and tomorrow. And we'll see you back here. I'm Go Local News editor Kate Nagel.